So what up, YouTube? It's your boy GRHJESM. Oh, and figured I'd come out to the park, talk to you guys about my my new purchase, the Mac Mini. And there's some things that I'm learning about what Apple is doing with their new SOC. SOC stands for System on a Chip. Now, System on a Chip simply means that everything that the computer needs to operate is all integrated into one chip. SOC, the whole system is all on one chip. When you really think about it, that kind of defeats the whole purpose of, a custom built PC. So with a custom PC, when you really think about it, you go out and you get each piece individually. You go get a CPU, a GPU, RAM, you get your storage, right? All those things are separate, but on an SOC, all that's baked into one piece. So when you get something from Apple, you got to understand that Apple doesn't care about specs. With Apple, 8 gigs of RAM with an 8-core CPU and 256 gigs of storage, you can add external storage. And I have a 500 gig hard drive SSD I got a hub to attach it to my Mac Mini. I'll dump the files onto the hard drive or the SSD and I'll edit. Then I'll take all that footage, post the final one, save everything to a folder, pull that entire folder off of there, save it to my, 10 terabyte external hard drive, and that way I'll be able to keep my footage, edit on the Mac Mini, but not clog up the Mac Mini. If that makes any sense. It's a long process, but I'm gonna get it done. And on that, let's get back to the main topic. SOC, System on a Chip. Apple is one of those companies that builds their own software. For a long time, especially in their phones, they've made their own hardware, but there have been certain components that they've outsourced, such as their SOC, their entire system. They used to be Intel based. Now it's Apple based. So now Apple's making their own. They don't have to worry about anybody else interfering. So the programs that they run on their computers and their new M1 SoCs can be built for that SOC. So obviously, if you're a Mac user and you've been a Mac user for a while, you're probably using Final Cut. I'm a Windows guy, so I'm pretty familiar with DaVinci, but I normally use Adobe Premiere Pro. And I've been editing the past couple videos on Premiere Pro on the Mac Mini, the M1 Mac Mini. And I mean, when you talk about way faster than before, I think I spent $850 in total on the Mac Mini. So from start to finish, taking the SD card out of here, putting it into the Mac Mini, making proxies, editing, and exporting. And even some procrastination, watching YouTube videos, forgetting that the proxies are done. Basic stuff. It took 1 hour and 15 total. On my computer that I normally game on, it took 2 hours just to render. So, here's a question. All this talk of SOC, System on a Chip, building your own, building all your own stuff from the ground up, what does that mean? We already see Intel struggling. AMD is cool because of the gaming market. PC gaming isn't going anywhere. But outside of that, who's really buying a computer? Most people are MacBooking it, iPadding it. Samsung makes laptops, tablets, phones, computer screens, all that kind of cool stuff. And the cool thing about it is that Samsung also has the Exynos processor. They have, they work with Qualcomm's SoC, but Samsung also has their own. But Samsung's software, it's not on the Apple level. Think about it. iOS, macOS, those are all Apple designed softwares. Samsung has Samsung DeX with Tizen, but as far as their own OS, they're still relying on Android, they're still relying on Windows, they're still relying on Chrome. Apple doesn't have to rely on anybody. So they don't need a ton of hardware in order for their software to work properly. So what is all this talk about? SOC, system on a chip, one company controlling everything from software to keyboards. What does all that mean? What kind of effect does it have on like average people like, you know, me and you? Well, first of all, you can know that everything that you get from this company is going to work with everything else that you get from this company, you know, minus a few hiccups. But overall, it's going to be like a seamless process. You can rest assured that if you get an Apple product, it's going to work, because that's how it's built. It's built to work, and it's built to work with everything else that it's built with. Imagine going to like Ford or Chevy and you're starting to drive your car, but you realize that instead of having 5 lug nuts on your wheel, you have 4. It's supposed to have 5. That, you know, you don't have to worry about that. Apple has everything working with everything else that's Apple. That being said, this is your boy GRHJSM. Oh, and I'm